Welcome, everybody. This is D. Durrell with D. Durrell Life Solutions. Appreciate each and every one of you for being here today. I am chilling right now, having a pretty much a good day. I've been looking forward to doing this particular topic, which is right up my alley. This particular video, I want to decipher for you and to pretty much tell you, in essence, what a therapist should not be doing. As a fellow therapist myself, as you know, this is D. Durrell Life Solutions. I will be broadcasting this particular video on my other channels. I think it's appropriate. Also, in talking about this, a lot of people have came to me and asked me questions about this. Other videos that I've done, people have kind of tried to derail the topic because I am a therapist. I am a licensed professional counselor. I am a business owner. I am a supervisor of therapists, being there at my own business. And for over 10 years, I was an LPC supervisor who actually trained therapists to do what they do. So this is within the realm of what I uh, deal with on an ongoing basis from a professional perspective. And so I looked at the videos. I looked at the stuff that she has done. I looked at her history on TikTok. And then I kind of related it to myself from a perspective of I've been told that I have been unprofessional on social media. I created my Life Solutions channel to separate from the fuckery and everything that I may get into in different sectors so that I could separate that from my other channels. Because people on YouTube can't separate a content creator from a therapist. Now, I have never, and you can check the archives, have never said anything egregious in regards to my own clients. Now, I may say some things about people that I don't like on YouTube, but as a professional therapist, I would never, in presenting myself as a therapist, say things about the field in itself, say things about the very clientele that you're treating, because she was treating a basically she had a roster or a practice full of men that she was treating. And then you criticize these men. You show biasnesses towards how these men have. That's the reason why they're there. You're getting mad at men for a lack of emotional intelligence and emotional verbiage, but you're supposed to be there to bridge that and change that. And so she presented herself in a very biased, unethical manner, unprofessional. And she deserved to be fired. As a person who hires and fires therapists, she deserved to be fired because her behavior in itself puts my business at risk. So I'm going to play the video to kind of preface my stance and where she went wrong. Number one, if she would have talked about any other topic, I would have stated she wouldn't have deserved to lose her job. But because the topic itself is germane to her field, what she does for a living, then you were out of bounds, young lady. You were out of bounds as a therapist. She's a young therapist, obviously, and inexperienced. It's obvious because no polished therapist would have went on a social media platform doing this. No. When I talk about mental health issues, I take it seriously. I could be playing around with the sector, the Umar sector, management sector. Soon as someone asks me a mental health question, I change and go into therapist mode. And it's confusing, but I'm not confused because I know what I'm doing. But it's confusing to the eyes of other people, but you're not my clients. So she put her business of a place of business at risk because she talked about the inadequacies of people who are seeking her help to improve their ability to communicate, and you criticize it, and then you stereotype and generalize it for all men, black men in particular. So yes, you deserve to get fired. So I'm going to play this video so you can grasp what I'm talking about. As follows.
Smart. This is the exact The comment says, I wish men would understand that emotional intelligence is so important because of how much clarity / security it would bring to your lives. Y'all think bitches be talking in y'all ear just to be talking. We don't. Y'all think bitches want to argue with y'all because y'all refuse to expand your emotional vocabulary. We don't.
From the jump, she went all over the place. First of all, you referred to women as bitches, and you went in the negative for all the men, and then you assume that all women know how to communicate correctly. Just because you may talk more and express more doesn't mean that you're communicating effectively. Communication consists of two or more people speaking, in which one is talking, the other one is listening, and there is a seamless exchange and understanding. Not just you ask questions. You can talk and be toxic in your communication, and no one understands what the hell you're talking about. You can also lack of communication. The pendulum can go from one end to the other. She doesn't understand that, but your client's inability to communicate, those men that you're treating, it may not be evident of the fact that they can't do this, because that's why they're seeing you. The problem is, you as a therapist, you're not helping them improve. So this is an indication you don't know what the hell you're doing, or you need more practice, or you need to implement various and more creative forms of therapy. If you want to be therapeutic in nature, you have to present this from a therapeutic standpoint. You basically put your own personal views of men into this video, and also your biasness towards thinking that all women are just communicating effectively, and they don't.
It's to provide clarity for both us and y'all dusty bitches. Let me stop. This really truly irks me, because when I say you need to expand your emotional vocabulary, it's so your life can be easier. Don't you want to be able to communicate with your bitch? I think yes, right? Long gone are the days where you can just shut down. Bitch not tolerating that. Like, it used to be where men provided financially or with schmeat and make their own self, and we can pay for our own shit. So I'm gonna need y'all to catch up on the emotional part. If a bitch is telling you, I need you to communicate more, open your mouth. But you know what I realized? And let me back up. A common misconception about me as a clinician is that 90% of my clientele have been men, Black men specifically. And what we specifically work on is expanding their.
She just stated 90% of her clientele is men. And then you're going to criticize the men who are actually seeking you to improve in those areas, and you're going to exploit their weaknesses as if they are idiots. See, this is the reason Black men don't go to therapy. This actually hurts the ability of professionals like myself who attempt to educate and convince Black men the importance of mental health and the importance of seeking help to whatever issues you have, and to get rid of those anxieties and those misconceptions. She actually hurt the mental health field in itself, and she hurt Black therapists, and she hurt the reputation of therapists, is how they're being viewed, along with her place of business. That's why she was fired. See, This is a domino, this is a chain of reaction effect. Because as a therapist, I would never criticize the very people who are for issues and self-afflicting issues that they talk about. I would never exploit that on TikTok or any other platform and say things and disparaging about them for something that they obviously know they need help. They obviously know that they're lacking. That's why they're seeing you in the first place. But you go about and take their glaring flaws and exploit it and get mad at them for the reasons why they're trying to seek you to be better at it. And then you tell black women, when we do this and we do that, but you won't talk about the toxic communication that black women present in those situations. You are not even balanced in that. As a therapist, you're trained to be unbiased. You are trained to not incorporate your own value system into the therapy. So I'm questioning your ability as a clinician to be unbiased, to show unconditional regard, to show empathy to your clients. Let's continue.
Emotional vocabulary, because a lot of y'all motherfuckers don't even have the words to express how you're feeling. So when you expand your vocabulary and knowledge of what you are experiencing, because y'all are human beings who experience feelings and emotions and don't have to choke that shit down no more. Y'all ain't had to choke that shit down since 2016. Anyway, if y'all are not in therapy, expanding your emotional vocabulary, your life just off top is going to be more difficult. When you expand your emotional vocabulary, you expand your awareness of yourself. When you expand your emotional vocabulary, you understand how you can navigate in this weird ass world that is so hard on y'all. Like,
what she's basically saying, guys, is that she's saying that black men don't have an extensive vocabulary and you don't understand how to express yourself because you're too dumb to read and write and know how to communicate and use proper word usage. That is highly offensive. That is highly offensive for you as a therapist to in a more I would say deceptive manner and criticizing black men who are seeking you to help them in that area. So what if these guys don't have an extensive emotional vocabulary? It's not difficult to say I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm hurt, I'm disgusted. It doesn't take a 5-year-old can do that. So miss me with the fact that you want men to communicate like women. And to be honest with you, as a therapist, you're focusing so much on the verbal. Why are you not talking about the nonverbal? Why are you not using certain questions that can trigger the proper response? Why are you not using other means of creative therapy to get men to communicate besides verbally communicating? Because there's various forms of you can communicate through art, you can communicate through reading, you can communicate through writing. You can communicate through other therapeutic games and activities. Why are you not prefacing those particular strategies? Why are you in some ways not talking about using role play? Why are you not modeling, using behavioral modeling tactics and strategies to assist them in the practice of this? Why are you not talking about grounding mechanisms so that a person could be in the right state of mind as a black man or as a man, period, so that they can have the state of mind to verbalize appropriately? You're supposed to be the therapist. I know that I am. And all black men, and I'm going to say this for a person who has counseled a lot of black men of all ages. I'm talking from 4 years, from young black boys all the way to men 18 on up. I never had problems with black men communicating. I had problems with black men getting their butts committing to therapy. But as far as I've never had a difficult time getting black men to communicate their feelings because I'm skillful enough to present myself and to present strategies that allowed them to feel free enough to verbalize their feelings. And I understood that with men, you may have to be a little bit more. It's not going to be easy, as particularly if you may have women who initially, as soon as you say the first question, they're spinning off, constantly talking, but they're communicating in an endless and unconstructive manner that needs to be corrected. Men have problems with communication. Women have problems with communication. Just because one may communicate more than other doesn't make it, just because you say more words, don't mean that that's constructive communication. This is the problem that I am having with this young lady, this young therapist, inexperienced therapist at that, who come on YouTube or TikTok, I'm sorry, expressing that black men don't have the emotional vocabulary. It does not take a genius to say how you're feeling. The problem is that you're probably not facilitating. You're probably creating transference, and the fact that you possess some level of countertransference that you just exemplified in this particular video. You're looking at black men or men from a certain perspective that may be ingrained in you based on your own personal issues and your own stuff that you need to work on. And these black men are looking at you based on your facial expressions, your voice, how you carry yourself. You're being ratchet. So maybe some of that is coming out in your facial expressions and your voice pitch and so on, that they may feel, I'm not going to say intimidated, but they're going to feel hesitant to even open up to you. So don't blame black men or men inability to communicate with you in therapy based on their inadequacies as a man to communicate. It also may be partially your fault as a therapist. A skillful therapist understands how to help people open up and communicate, to help them understand that the importance of verbalizing things in a comfortable manner. Where's your patience? You have to be patient with people. You don't know. That could be other circumstances, other anxiety, traumatic events that may have occurred that may have influenced them to feel this way. But let's continue.
Like, let's acknowledge that the world is very difficult for y'all, but y'all are not making it any easier, bruh. You're not. When they're telling y'all to go to therapy, it's not for us. It's for y'all sad motherfuckers.
My God. I hate to say my God, but that was to me the most disgusting thing as a therapist that I have ever heard, where you're criticizing men whose 90% of your clientele is men, and you're sitting here saying, "You sorry motherfuckers." And you wondering why you got fired. You just told your 90% of your roster, your caseload, "You sorry motherfuckers." It's not we trying to help you. We trying to make things as if women don't present toxic communication, poor communication in situations. Women equally can do negative things, but just in a different manner. This is very disgusting to see as a therapist myself, and it has nothing to do because I don't care about no gender war. I don't care about this back and forth and stuff like that. I'm looking at this merely as a clinician, for licensed therapist for over 16 years, been working in the mental health field for 23 years. Case management, direct care, as a master's level therapist, clinician, providing therapy in various settings. And you're telling me this is what the colleges and universities are producing, therapists that are coming on YouTube, coming on TikTok and social media, scolding the client, shaming the client, criticizing the client. That's basically for the flaws and the help and the disorder that they're coming to you to fix. They're coming to you because they need to learn better emotional intelligence and emotional vocabulary. And you criticize them for what they're seeking help for you to help them heal from and become better at. This is sickening. And as you look at her presentation, she looks no different than any other. I'm not going to even say that. Anything you see in the hood, I'm just going to put it like that. Her presentation is no different. So it speaks to you can take the black person out of the hood, but you can't take the hood out of the black person. It's evident. I'm not saying that is a law per se. That's theory in practice. She is the example of that.
Go to therapy. Talk about that shit that's on your chest. You don't have to choke that shit down no more. Y'all are doing a disservice to yourself. And so let me sum this shit up. Y'all told to elevate our standards. And at the cost of us elevating y'all standards, y'all got axed because y'all didn't elevate either. We're not tolerating emotional abuse.
Stop it. Now, what do you mean? You're telling women that they elevated, but women elevated, but men didn't elevate? See, this is biasness. This is personal. If you're going to speak on your field, speak on your field. Don't bring your own personal biases, okay? Your own personal stance into the therapy session. That's unethical. That is poor therapeutic work. See, this is the reason why black men don't want to go to therapy. This is why black men don't want to see black women for therapy. We need more black men in counseling and counseling related fields. But I'm gonna be honest with you guys. This is not the example of the average black female therapist. I know because I have had great relationships and I have hired many highly qualified black female therapists and female therapists, period. They don't act like this. They don't condone themselves like this. This is a social media addict, per se, who is basically mixing her profession with her own personal issues, her profession, and on TikTok being theatrical. I even heard something about her shaking her butt and doing other different things for attention. I'm going to suggest that, ma'am, you may need to see therapy. Are you seeking? Because therapists need to see therapy. I have therapists that I confide in and do therapy work with from time to time. I'm going to suggest maybe you to get through your stuff, your issues, your problems, and don't bring those problems into your therapy session, healing yourself instead of healing your client. This is despicable, and it is embarrassing as a therapist to see this.
Emotional neglect. Step it up. Go talk to somebody. Go expand your emotional vocabulary so your life can be better. Bitch. All right.
What?
Please.
All right. So the video.
Okay. This is what she did. Okay. So yes, shout out to my brother O'Shea Duke Jackson, because I basically I heard about this, but I using his video per se,
An apology
and so forth. So this is what she did. This is a licensed master's level clinician. She's not a psychiatrist and she's not a psychologist. First of all, a psychiatrist it's a medical specialty. Psychologists, for the most part, don't engage in therapy. They actually refer that out to the rest of the treatment team or another therapist, psychologist, or a master's level therapist like myself to provide those services. A psychologist, oh wow, I would be even more embarrassed if it was a psychologist. That's a PhD level person. She's not a PhD. She's not a clinical psychologist. She's a master's level therapist. And if that was one of my contract therapists or employee there, she would have been fired. Now, if she would have talked about something else, it could have been gardening or music videos, and she would have acted like this, I probably wouldn't have fired her, but I would have had a talk with her. But because she talked about issues that are related to the field itself as a therapist, that is irreprehensible. I'm sorry. She deserved to be fired. So let me continue to this next part once she realized she messed up.
And then we'll go right to her.
My recent video calling for men to go to therapy. Now, I will say that, firstly, I would like to apologize for the colorful language that I used. Well, hello. It's your friendly neighborhood therapist who thought she could save these, but got her job terminated as a result. Story time? I think yes. Do not, I posted a video on Monday telling men that their dusty behavior is only harming them and that they would benefit from emotional intelligence. And I not by Friday didn't have employment. All of this started with a Psychology Today article stating that men are lonelier than ever because they have no emotional skills.
Let me speak to that for a second. I did see, because I actually am a subscriber of Psychology Today. I actually use psychology. I've been using Psychology Today for the last 7 years. And that article does exist. I'm going to do a review of that article. I did not read it in full scale, but it did bring up certain aspects to why men are lonelier. But there are limitations to that article. It's limitations to the research that contributed to that, which she didn't speak of. Most men are not lonely. That's just an increase in certain men not being lonely. But there also can say the same for women. There's a lot of lonely people, period. Not just relegated to men. And partial of that, and what she's trying to present, unfortunately, is that you're responsible, men, for the reason why you're lonely. Not the fact that you had bad relationships where you were cheated on, where you were taken advantage of, and you have difficulty healing from that. Therefore, you have self-sabotage relationships or have anxiety about relationships, period. You won't talk about that. It's just the fact that you're just totally inept. There's no other issues related. Therapists. You're going to criticize. That's just like me treating somebody with depression, but I'm mad and criticizing you for always being sad. That's just like if you had schizophrenia, but I'm criticizing you for telling me in a therapeutic session why you're seeing and hearing things and having thoughts of grandeur. That's just like if in a therapeutic situation, a person has post-traumatic stress because they were in a natural disaster or in a war or something, but you get mad at me for not leaving before the hurricane or the storm came, or you question a war hero from Iraq, or there was a storm, or Afghanistan with PTSD, but you're criticizing them for going into the military. Now, guys, for those, listen, you all know I'm legit. I have shown what I have done. I've shown my work. I've shown my businesses. I've shown my credentials. And I'm stating this because I am embarrassed that this lady did this, because it gives the industry a black eye. And I'm looking at it from a professional standpoint and from a business standpoint, because I have fought diligently for the last 20 plus years encouraging black people to get therapy. One of the biggest things I've done is the psychoeducation of educating black people on mental health and the reasons to get mental health services. And black men have been the most difficult in cooperating. But what I can say, when I'm engaging with black men in therapy, I do not, even though they can be difficult, it's about building that therapeutic rapport with black men. It's about being relatable. It's about questioning and crafting your questions appropriately so that they can feel open to verbalize. Don't blame black men for not talking and opening up because you don't understand how to probe and ask open-ended questions and questions relative to that person, particularly with their educational level, their experiences, in which they feel safe to speak to you. See, I know I've made mistakes in therapy where I may have not assessed appropriately or asked the right questions or came off and said some things that may have not, because we make mistakes. But what I will say is this: if I made a mistake, I will correct that mistake. But I have never made the mistake of totally offending my clients and talking to them in this manner and putting my own personal views and feelings into my personal views and feelings have no place in a therapeutic relationship. This would actually be a great model for any master's level therapist that's in social work, clinical psychology, counseling, as how to not carry there's so many teachable areas, moments in here. You can actually do a thesis on this. You can actually do a thesis on this one video, because there's so many layers of ineptitude, unprofessionalism, unethical. Now I'm gonna say she deserves to be fired. She will bounce back and get another job, and I hope this will be a learning experience for her. I hope this will be. And what she needs to learn is don't bring your feelings into the therapeutic relationship, and don't post this BS on YouTube, on social media.
Skills. And I agreed and doubled down and told y'all that y'all lives would radically improve if you expanded the shit that came out your mouth. But instead of healing, y'all will do anything but that. Instead of being accountable, like, hey, this see me, and stirred a little bit, y'all got so hurt that you contacted massa. That's exactly what happened. So first, the post goes viral on Twitter because y'all need help, and y'all wanted to argue with Blue till they flew in the face. Some of you are not going to be saved, and that's the conclusion that I've come to.
She just stated some of you niggas or some of you hoes ain't going to be saved. This is a therapist telling clients, potential clients, telling her caseload, her 90% male case, you're not going to be saved. No. The problem is that you are a piss poor therapist. You are a highly unskilled therapist. You need to go back to whatever college gave you that degree and take some more courses. Take an ethics class, take a counseling intro class, techniques and strategies as far as therapeutic wise, do another practicum. You need to go back to school. You need some. No, I'm not gonna say that. I'm sorry. I'm out of line for saying that. I don't want to disparage any university. You should be doing about 20 hours of continuing education classes to correct every mistake that you made in these videos. that you stated in regards to yourself and to the field of counseling and psychology. You should, if I was to hire you in a company and if I hired you despite this, I would request that you do at least 20 hours of continuing education on your professionalism, on ethics, on theory, and men's issues. Okay? I would make you go back. I don't give a damn if it's online or in person, face to face. I would force you to go back before I would hire you or commit to keeping you. That's just the facts. And I also want to say this. If she was in private practice, this probably wouldn't have been a big deal. This is not worthy of her losing her license or anything like that. I don't even think it's worthy of her. It's not even worthy of her being suspended. But it is worthy of losing your job because you're affecting the clientele and the financial stability of a company. Having a therapist that did something controversial as that, where people are not going to want to seek your services. So that's my stance. But I'm going to go ahead and let her play this out. I know this is ignorant, but I'll let it play out.
So because this shit's gone viral, I'm thinking, okay, cool. We starting a discussion on mental health, and people you might not like my delivery, but motherfuckers starting to talk, you know?
Oh my God. Did she not say you don't like my motherfucking delivery? This is. Let me just finish. I'm just gonna let it go.
The tables, I don't give a. But then it turns into this entire crusade of attacking a Black woman who serves the Black community. There were comments like, I'm going to find her credentials and report her because I told y'all to be better. Yeah, y'all are weird. Y'all scream that y'all want to protect women, protect Black women specifically, but have done nothing to protect this Black woman who has been serving the communities. I have been violated in several areas, and I'm going to outline each one. This article was written by a Black woman, putting my full government and my place of employment. So being doxxed by a Black woman can't fake, kind of hurts, and she never once reached out to me or contacted me so I could spend my side of the story. This is the article that spooked my job and got me fired. Not only did she not have any regard for my safety, many other articles have been written as a result. Here are a few of them, just to name a few. Black Twitter has words for therapists scolding men to go to therapy. Y'all attacked me and got mad at me because I wanted better for y'all. That's the most crab in the barrel bucket type bullshit I've ever heard in my life. A plethora of Black men decided to take it upon themselves to call my employment to get me fired. You succeeded, but you succeeded in not the way that you think. If it's one thing about Black women is that we're incredibly resilient. This cleared the table to give me space and opportunity to educate the masses while shaking our ass to healing because y'all got mad because I wanted you to do better. I was told they consulted with shareholders and decided to terminate my contract because I told y'all to go to therapy.
So she was a contractor. She was contracting.
That's the world we live in.
All right.
Let me stop there. Let me say this, man. Let me say this. Speaking as a therapist, this is the worst form of, and I've seen some unprofessional stuff. This is not indicative of Black women. This is not indicative of Black female therapists because most of my therapists that I've hired were Black women. Most of my therapists throughout my, I've been from 15 years. I'm sorry. I mean, 14 years of being in business. Most of them were Black women, and they never conducted themselves nowhere near this. This is not indicative of the average. So I just want the Black community to understand we're not producing therapists like this. We're producing some great women and men, mostly women, I would say, in the field, because this is a more of a female-dominated field. But we are producing some excellent Black female therapists who have some decorum about themselves, who have some professionalism, some self-respect. She talked about how horrible Black men were, but then Black women, we're so excellent and great and all this other different stuff, sugar and spice and everything nice. You see, this speaks to the biasness. I'm starting to wonder, is this lady in the divestment community? Is she pink pill or something? Is she feminist or something? Like that has no place in a therapeutic relationship. No man, I as a therapist would not send my daughter or I would not refer anyone to this woman, particularly men, but I wouldn't even send women because her whole presentation, her disposition is not a positive example of a therapist. It's not even a true representation of most therapists. Number one, her mood is elevated. She's all over the place. She's yelling, she's cursing. Her perception of the situation is off. She's telling black men that they shouldn't have not. Now, yes, I get it. They went to her. They went to her job and looked up things. She criticized one black woman, but she had so much vitriol for the black men who called her job. But your job saw the article that the black female wrote, and you say anything negative about her. Number one, you have just been offensive to black men, but you're offensive to the black community. See, it's time for us as a community. We got to start having some standards as it relates to what we do and how we do it. And we just can't allow even professionals and the educated, just because you have a degree and you have licenses, you have to have, there's a certain standard that encompasses that. And as black people, we don't have to deal with bad black business. This was bad black business. This was bad. This is a bad representation of a psychotherapist. And I can speak on this because I am that. So I'm looking at this, man, and today, guys, I'm going to post a video later on this at continuation because I went on Kwame Brown's channel today. It was a little testy there, and I actually gave my response on this lady. It went into all other kinds of stuff that I didn't. They started talking about relationships and would this woman be a good fit for any black? I don't know, and I can't use this one video because her video was not about relationships of her own. It was about her functioning in a therapeutic environment. So that has, to me, that those two things are separate. They're not relatable, but they kind of mixed it. And then he started saying stuff, and we were cool. I left and came back. I enjoyed my interaction with Kwame and people who support his channel. However, she is not taking responsibility for her own actions because you presented yourself as a dysfunctional person who's providing therapy. That's what you did, ma'am. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to try to reach out to her if I can. I'm going to try to reach out to her and have her on my channel and do an interview. I don't even care if I got to pay for it. And I'm going to let her know that, listen, if she agrees to it, the first thing, if she agrees to it, I'm going to let her know what she did wrong. Because you embarrassed the field. You embarrassed yourself. You embarrassed your family. You embarrassed you embarrassed the field. You embarrassed black psychotherapists and counselors, social workers. That's what you did. Because you displayed every negative stereotype that is given to black females as professionals or non-professionals, educated, non-educated. That's what you did, ma'am. No one watching this video would confuse you with being anything professional. No one. And that's what you're not understanding. You're now wanting to blame the people who felt threatened by you, felt offended by you, because you as a again, if she would have talked about politics, she could have talked about going to the moon, she could have talked about accounting, money. I would not be saying this, because this is impervious to her field of study and work. But no, she focused, she used the profession itself. That's a no-no. That's the reason why I created the Derail Life Solutions channel, because there was some gray areas, things that were happening as I was talking, and people felt like, as a therapist, I shouldn't speak my own opinion. Now, therapists, we are people. She is a person. Like, I don't act the way I act in a therapeutic environment as I do in real life. As a content creator, if I'm talking about a non-counseling, psychological related thing, I'm going to be me. But if it gets to that, I'm going to get away from if I decide to acknowledge the question or issue, then I'm going to be professional as I would in any other area or any other situation, therapeutic wise. It's just me. That's how I condone. If you can't do that, then I would advise you not to get on social media. I've departmentalized myself from the Godfather character to the Derail the Rebirth, and then Derail Life Solutions. I departmentalized the fact that I'm pro-Black, I'm Pan-African. Okay? I departmentalized that. If she would have talked about issues like that, I would say nothing should happen. Just because she's a therapist, she can't have an opinion about sports. Just because she's a therapist, she can't have an opinion about a relationship issue, a trending topic. No, she talked about her own. She talked about her own clientele as a contractor with a company. Obviously, it's a corporation that she's working for, being that they have shareholders and so forth. So she's probably working for a large company that probably, is nationwide or regional. And they decided to X her butt because of her behavior. Instead of taking responsibility, she says she apologized, but instead of taking responsibility and using it as a learning, she's decided to go in on Black men, the fact that you don't want to take the truth. No, Black men don't want to accept we don't want to accept biased rhetoric. No, Black men don't have to accept the fact that you look at them in a negative way, and then you look at females totally in the opposite direction. As a therapist, now you personally can have whatever feelings you want, but you were speaking from a therapeutic perspective, from a counseling related perspective, on a TikTok video that went viral. You are the blame for this, ma'am. Take responsibility. Reconstruct yourself. Self-reflect. Get back into the job industry. Get back into the industry, because you're going to easily get another job because you're licensed. There's a high demand for therapists everywhere, particularly in this state. I'm not sorry, because I know you can bounce back. I don't feel sorry for you, because I understand the industry. As a business owner, you can easily start your own practice. You can actually contract with all types of companies, BetterHelp, all types of companies that do different things. You can work for yourself. I don't feel sorry for you. You're going to bounce back. You're going to get you another job, contract job, or whatever. They're all over the place. You can government contract. You can do all types of things. But what you're not going to do is use your counseling related knowledge to talk down on the very people who are seeking you for the help that they have problems with problems they have that they have for issues that they have problems with. You criticizing people for they're coming to you for communication, but you're going to criticize them for lack of communication. It makes no sense. It's just like you're criticizing a child that's ADHD, but you're criticizing them for being hyperactive, and why are you not paying attention and lack of concentration? So, guys, I just wanted to talk about this. I just had to go in on this. This will be displayed on all my channels because it's relative to what I do for a living. I want to say to everybody, I want you to please subscribe and share this video wherever you like. Please subscribe to D Durrell Life Solutions. Please subscribe to D Durrell The Rebirth. Please subscribe to the Sectors TV, which is in the Umar Johnson, pro-Black Umar Johnson sector, what we call the sector per se. I appreciate each and every one of you all for being here today. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure to interact with you. It's been a pleasure to use my emotional vocabulary about this particular video. So, guys, this is D Durrell. I'm out. I hope y'all have a great day.